Welcome to the new Ram 1500. Oh, hang on. This is a brand new dual cab ute series from Foton. You can get the V7 and the V9. This is the top spec V9-S. Four-wheel drive, multi-link rear suspension on the V9. They both got the same engine, a 2-litre turbo diesel mild hybrid 4-cylinder, 120 kilowatts, 450 newton meters, which is down quite a bit on the segment standards, but especially down on power for this larger style of dual cab diesel ute. So this is bigger than the regular run of dual cab diesel utes. It's not quite as big as something like a Ram 1500, but it is bigger than a regular D-Max or Triton or something like that. As standard, you get a damped tailgate, spray-in tub liner as well. Got some tie-down points that are above there, up on top. I prefer them mounted low down. Not many utes come with them mounted low down though. It just means you've got to tie things against the wall rather than down on the bed. But it is a nice big tray area. You can fit a standard Australian pallet in the back between the wheel arches, no problem. The main advantage of having a big package like this is of course a roomy interior. Look how big this thing is. You've got a massive center console, lots of storage around the place, and a nice big touchscreen up above. This example's got the full panoramic sunroof, which is pretty unique for the diesel ute class. And then all the materials and everything in here, it's fairly luxurious actually. Like, even if it is fake leather, it's just got soft touch pretty much everywhere. Even the switch gear down here on the dash, it feels quite nice. This area here is a little bit more tacky, but overall, I think this is a good presentation and seems to be decent build quality. I noticed when we're driving along, the doors do sort of rattle a bit, the door jambs. They could be due to brand new rubbers. They sometimes squeak a little bit, but yeah, there's a little bit of potential flexibility there. We're gonna go do some off-roading tomorrow anyway, and we'll try it out. But yeah, on first impressions, this seems like a very nice cabin. And then up at the back, nice big rear seat area, flip down armrest, cup holders, multiple charging options down there, although no USB-C, it's only got the older A style USB ports. Heated seats as well, climate vents, dual climate vents, then grab handles on the B-pillar and on the ceiling, so that is good. But look how much legroom I've got. I mean, that's in my seating position, but that is absolutely massive for the 4-cylinder diesel ute class. Headroom is also pretty good, although I don't reckon it's absolutely class leading. I think I sit a bit lower in some rivals, but it could be due to the big sunroof, which cuts into the ceiling a little bit. It's not too bad though. All right, we'll take this one for a quick drive on the road, and then tomorrow, as I said, we'll go out and do some off-roading in both the V9 and the V7 as well. So out on the road, the first thing I notice is this engine is pretty smooth and quiet, doesn't rattle around too much. You've got a few different drive modes to choose from. I've got it in sport at the moment. Put it back into the standard mode. And yeah, it doesn't feel very powerful. I mean, it's not very powerful, especially for a vehicle of this weight. I'll just slow down a bit and show you the kind of kick down. The gearbox seems, I was going to say pretty responsive, but it took a little bit to kick down then. But it's a ZF based gearbox, which is good. That's good fundamentals, but you've still got calibration on top of that. So I don't know. I mean, you should have good reliability from the gearbox, I guess. The gear shifts are pretty quick and mostly intuitive. It just happened to be a bit slow kicking down just then. I mean, I am in the normal mode as well. By the way, you might notice the engine light on then. It's just because they disconnected the battery for a second, so they said it will disappear very soon. I've got tape over the driver monitoring camera because I find it a little bit annoying. As with most new vehicles that come out with these technologies that ANCAP is enforcing for 5-star ratings, you can turn it off with the menu, and the menu is pretty good. It's mostly in the same sort of section, but I just had some tape spare when I put the GoPro on there for 0 to 100 runs, so I just thought put some tape over that just to keep it quiet. In terms of the handling, it feels pretty good. The steering is not too bad. It doesn't feel you know, too disconnected. There's actually an engagement there, and it doesn't feel too big on the road actually either. For its size, it seems pretty manageable. I know where the corners of the vehicle are. Blind spots are minimal. Like, I've got a bit of a gap between the mirror and the pillar. That pillar is quite thick, But yeah, still have a good general sense of what's going on around me, including out the back. It seems to be nice and clear compared with some utes that have the headrest poking right up in a small or narrow window. This is it's a nice big cabin glass house. Being so wide, it is you know, a bit more difficult to keep in the lane on narrow streets like this compared with other dual cab utes. But for that sacrifice, you're getting that, you know, nice big cabin. So it just depends on what you're after. This does sit somewhere in the middle between, you know, the big Ram 1500 and so on, and even large typical diesel utes like the Ford Ranger. It's somewhere in between there. I wouldn't say it's that close to the Ram. It's probably closer to the Ford Ranger in terms of interior space, but yeah, definitely bigger than those mainstream rivals. Yeah, turning around these little corners, there's a little bit of body lean, body roll, as you'd expect with a vehicle like this. It's got big tyres on it as well. I think it does okay for especially this price range and for a brand new model to hit the market. We're going to go out and do some off-roading tests tomorrow, and we'll try out all the different modes and so on, and we'll jump into the V7 as well. But before we do that, let's do a quick 0 to 100 run somewhere around here on a 100 km/h speed limit zone, nice and flat and deserted. All right, first exercise of the day, we're just going to test them out with some weight in the back. So this has got 450 kilograms of sand, just to give us a bit of an idea of how it rides, but also we can compare the leaf spring and the coil spring with the V9. This is the V7. I can feel that there's weight in the back, but it's not in a kind of, you know, really negative way. The front end does feel a little bit lighter, as you'd expect, compared with unladen. But it feels pretty good. The ride is good, especially on this rough dirt road. Compressing those leaf springs down a little bit obviously helps. Yeah, you've definitely got some rattling going on, or squeaking going on with the rubber door seals. Again, it could be due to them just being brand new and it's just rubbing and making a bit of a squeak, but it's, yeah, you can clearly hear that. Again, I think this engine is probably down, well, it is down a bit on power on paper. I think for such a large package and quite heavy, around 2.3 tons, yeah, it just needs a little bit more power, I think. Especially if you've got 450 kilograms in the back, for example, and you're towing something, or you've got some passengers on board. Try to do some overtaking on a long, slightly uphill bit of highway. I think you're going to be struggling a fair bit. Decent handling though, even on the dirt, and even with something in the back. It doesn't have too much body roll, as we saw on the winding road. It feels pretty good, especially for this sort of lower end of the budget sort of category. I think if you are going to do some towing and heavy sort of duty work, then the V7 is the one, because you've got the leaf springs. They're typically more heavy duty and can handle heavy weights more consistently. But if you're not, the V9 would be my pick, because it's got the coil springs. It's just a bit more comfortable in regular day-to-day use on the highways and so on. I'll just slow down a bit and give it some full power. So that's pretty lethargic, picking up speed there. With the weight in the back, it's just, yeah, really dragging it back. That's what I mean. If you're towing, then I think you'd be struggling to get up some long, steep hills. Jumping in the V9 with the coil springs, it does feel a little bit more settled. Still the same 450 kilograms of sand in the back, but it does feel, yeah, just a little bit more settled. But I do think that if you are going to do lots of heavy towing and carrying really heavy stuff, the leaf springs are probably going to be my pick in the long term. It's just if you're, yeah, preference comfort and driving dynamics and not so much heavy towing, then you'd go with the V9. I can definitely feel the difference though. All right, off-road. I'm in the V9L, which is not quite the top spec model, so that means it misses out on the front differential lock, which itself is pretty unique for this class. Not many vehicles in, you know, the dual cab U class come with a front diff lock, so it's pretty impressive. But we should be able to get through anyway. We've got a rear diff lock, we've also got low range and the auto mode. So again, not many utes come out with an auto mode. Basically, you can drive on dry tarmac with the security of four-wheel drive without winding up the axles and so on, like in most dual range utes like this that have just 4H. At the moment, I'm just in 4 auto. I don't think anything what we're doing today is going to be that serious, but we'll see how we go, and I'll flick it over to some other modes to see. You've also got different sort of drive modes, including Eco Sport and a few different terrain modes, mud, sand and snow. Might just leave it in the mud mode for now. You've got 240 millimeters of ground clearance across the board, regardless of which variant. And then the 4x4 versions come with all-terrain tyres, while the 4x2, the single 4x2 V7-C is just highway terrains. You've also got a 28 millimeter approach angle, 26 departure. 28 is not super impressive for this class. You know, the average or the benchmark, I guess, is about 30 degrees. So it's, yeah, a little bit lower in clearance compared with some, but 240 millimeters overall is quite good. Some of them are around 230 and even 220. I guess the main, or, you know, one of the main considerations is this is quite big. So you can't really take on really technical stuff like you might be able to in a particularly a narrower or shorter dual cab ute. Breakover angle is about 21 degrees from memory, so it's having no problem getting over these steep little humps. And this is quite steep. It might not look like it on camera, but it's pretty steep, and I've still got it just in the auto mode for A. No, it just says auto actually. And yeah, no problem. The all-terrains definitely help. Stability control or traction control light hasn't begun to flash yet, so I've got good sort of mechanical grip or grip from the tyres. Is there any disadvantage with going with the coil springs compared with the sort of V7L? Sorry, I'm getting confused with the model names, but basically the V7 with leaf springs and all-wheel drive. Is there any difference? Well, I think you should have the same flexibility. It's still a live axle, so it shouldn't make too much difference. It just depends if you prefer the sort of comfort of springs, coil springs, I mean. Yeah, so far no problem at all getting through here. I mean, as I said, it's not too challenging, but it's good to see that it can at least take on some rough dirt roads. Now with that 48 volt system, it does mean that it could present some complications when it comes to towing. There's a lot of trailers and caravans and things are hooked up with 12 volts, so yeah, you just got to be careful with what you're connecting up against. You can get little converters and so on, but yeah, it can be a little bit more of a hassle compared with a standard 12 volt setup. Are you getting good economy? Well, we're averaging 13.3 at the moment per 100 kilometers, litres per 100 kilometers, but we are on like a launch conditions, I guess, which is usually we all thrash them a bit and give them more than you would in the real world. Doing some off-roading as well. They've been cycling through different media outlets and so on. But yeah, in my experience with systems like this, like in the Toyota Hilux, that's just basically a two-way pulley type alternator, hanging off the engine. It supplies a little bit of power, helps the engine spin over at low speeds and so on. But I don't know, I don't think it makes a huge difference to fuel economy in the long run and in the real world. It's more about on paper, in my opinion. And you know, it adds a tiny bit of weight, I guess. And yeah, that complexity with the 48 volts instead of 12. So here we've got hill descent control we can try out. It's not super steep, but so basically it will go to the speed you set it with the brakes, and if you accelerate up a little bit, it'll sort of maintain that speed. It seems to be working nice and smoothly, holding the speed 7 to 8 kilometers an hour. I mean, again, it's not too challenging, but it is working. They look pretty tough out in the bush. I like the way they're a bit chunky, and even though they do seem to be inspired by other models from America, I think they stand out a little bit on the road. But yeah, the main thing is I think they're appealing to the typical buyers of this segment. You know, they want something tough and muscular. These definitely present that. See how the approach angle goes. Kind of just rolled into that, seeing if the front end would just scrub the bumper, but it didn't, so that's good. The suspension, yeah, it's not too soft and cushy on the front too. Sometimes I've driven, especially the earlier GWM Canon, this front end would just a little bit soft, and it would compress when you hit bumps like just then. I mean, you should slow down anyway, but sometimes a bump will just, you know, appear and you didn't quite see it. Whereas that, it wasn't too soft that it compressed too much and then scraped out. It seemed to catch the bump and was prepared. Got some good technology in here as well. Nice big touch screen, although the camera view is not full screen. But you've got different views that you can go through, so you can check out the side of the vehicle. It does have a transparent mode, but that doesn't look all that clear. I'm not sure what's going on there. Transparent chassis, you can turn that on and off. Oh, full screen, there we go. Now we get a nice view of what's going on, what we're driving over. I mean, you wouldn't sit there looking at that like in any rival that offers this sort of technology. It's just if you get to a tricky situation, you know, you can't see if there's a rock there or something like that, or you come over a crest, you can put the front view camera on, just see what's in front of you. Yeah, overall I think seems to be pretty capable. It'll be good to test this in a bit more of a challenging scenario, but it seems to be pretty good. It's got good specs on paper at least, so it should be all right. I'll try and book in one of these in the near future when I attack our little hill climb to see how it goes. So there we go. What do we think? Well, the pricing is good. The design is good, even though I think it does borrow some elements or inspiration from Ford F-150, Chevy Silverado in terms of the V7, and then the V9 is, I think, clearly inspired by the Ram 1500 with that grille on the headlights and all that. But you have to admit, it does look good. Like, it's nice and consistent. It doesn't have any weird, awkward bits pointing out. It suits the market, and I think that's the big important thing in my opinion. You want to create something that people want to buy, like the Ford Ranger and so on. They look tough, they look sturdy, they look strong. And yeah, so they've done that with this new Tunland. It drives really nicely as well. If it was me, I'd pick the V9 because it's got the coil springs, but I understand that if you're doing lots of heavy duty work, you'll want to opt for the leaf springs. Totally makes sense, and it is good that Foton is offering both forms. Not all of the rivals do that, so it is good to have a bit of variety there. But yeah, both of them handle quite nicely. There's not excess body roll or anything like that. You'd probably upgrade the tyres, the Giddy tyres. I'm not a huge fan of that brand. I mean, they're getting there. They're pumping out a lot of tyres, so they'll have a lot of data very, very soon. But yeah, I'd probably upgrade those. The interior is really nice, good fit and finish, good technology as well. Some little hiccups, but most new brands with the big touchscreen and so on have some hiccups as well. They've still got physical buttons, which is really appealing to me. And they're also going to launch a bunch of accessories. We've got a couple of concepts here that they're showing us just to give us a bit of an idea of what to expect, like aftermarket style wheels, lift kits even, with pairing up with Ironman off-road accessory maker. So yeah, they've got a good foundation here, got everything you need. It's just that engine, I think, deserves a bit more grunt, especially being such a big package. There'll be more information in the full written review linked in the description of this video. Thanks for watching.